Chapter 1: The Power of Small Wins. You've probably heard it before, consistency is key. But here's the truth most people miss. Consistency doesn't start with huge leaps. It starts with small wins. The little things you do daily that look almost insignificant, but over time they shift your entire life. Think about it. Every major success story, every overnight breakthrough, was built on small, unseen moments. The athlete who became a champion didn't start by lifting the heaviest weight or running the fastest mile. They started with a single rep, a single run, a single decision to show up, one more day. And that's the secret most people overlook. Big goals can inspire you, but small wins will sustain you. See, the human brain thrives on progress. Every time you accomplish something, no matter how small, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical that says, yes, you're on the right track. That's motivation fuel. And the more you experience it, the more your mind begins to crave progress over perfection. When you chase big wins only, you create pressure. When you chase small wins daily, you create momentum. Let's get something clear. Momentum is everything. It's the invisible force that keeps you moving when motivation fades. It's the quiet voice that says, I've done this before. I can do it again. But here's the catch. Momentum doesn't come from what you intend to do. It comes from what you actually do repeatedly. Every small win is a deposit into your future mastery account. You may not see the results immediately, but over time, those deposits compound into something powerful: confidence, discipline, and growth. Let's visualize it. Imagine pushing a massive flywheel, a heavy metal wheel that barely moves at first. The first few pushes feel impossible. You sweat, you strain, and the wheel barely turns. But you keep pushing, day after day, until one day it starts to move with less effort. Then faster. Then smoother. Eventually it spins on its own momentum. That's how mastery is built. Small, steady pushes that create unstoppable force. Most people give up in the early stages, not because they lack talent, but because they can't see the payoff yet. They underestimate the compounding effect of small wins. But if you can learn to celebrate progress instead of perfection, you'll keep the wheel turning long enough to see results that others never will. Let me tell you a truth. Your small wins today are the seeds of tomorrow's greatness. Reading a few pages daily becomes knowledge. Writing one paragraph daily becomes a book. Saving a few dollars daily becomes financial peace. Showing up every day builds a version of you that doesn't quit. That's the beauty of momentum. It transforms effort into identity. You stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined, and start saying, I am disciplined. You stop chasing motivation because you've built habits that move you forward even when you don't feel like it. So, if you've been waiting for the perfect moment to start, let me be honest, that moment will never come. There's no perfect time, no ideal condition. All you have is now. And that's enough. Start small. Do one thing today that moves you closer to your goal. One rep, one chapter, one message, one step. That's all it takes to start the momentum. Because here's the real magic. Once you get moving, everything changes. Your energy rises. Your confidence grows. Your focus sharpens. And suddenly the person who once said, I can't, begins to realize, wait, maybe I can. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. Small wins create big change, not instantly but inevitably. And the day you start valuing those tiny victories, you'll feel something powerful awaken inside you, the momentum of mastery. So here's your first challenge. Before the day ends, do something, anything, that makes you 1% better than yesterday. That's it. No pressure, no perfection. Just progress. And remember, mastery isn't a destination. It's a daily decision. Chapter 2: The Momentum Principle. How Progress Fuels Confidence. Momentum. It's invisible, but you can feel it. It's that unstoppable rhythm that kicks in once you've taken a few consistent steps in the right direction. It's the quiet hum of energy that says, I've got this. But what is momentum really? It's progress multiplied by consistency. It's the effect of small wins stacking up until they begin to move you, even when you don't feel like moving yourself. Here's the thing. Most people think confidence comes first. They say, once I feel confident, I'll start. But that's backward. Confidence doesn't create progress. Progress creates confidence. You don't wait to feel ready before taking action. You take action and then you start to feel ready. That's the momentum principle. When you do something, Even a small action, you're sending a signal to your mind, I'm capable. Each time you act, your brain stores evidence that you're the kind of person who follows through. And evidence creates belief. Belief fuels confidence. And confidence? That fuels more action. It's a loop, a powerful one. That's why the first steps matter so much, even if they're clumsy or uncertain. You're not just building a habit, you're building self-trust. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you want to start running. You tell yourself you'll run every morning at 6 a.m. Day 1, you wake up groggy, your body resists, and your mind says, skip today. But you run anyway, even if it's just around the block. That's not just exercise. That's a message. You've just told your mind, I do what I say I'll do. Now day 2 comes. It's a bit easier, not because your body suddenly changed, but because your identity did. You've started to associate yourself with discipline. That's how momentum builds, silently, invisibly, but powerfully. And soon enough, it's not about running anymore. It's about who you're becoming. Momentum has a spiritual rhythm to it. It rewards action, not intention. It listens to what you do, not what you plan. It multiplies effort, magnifies consistency, and eventually makes things feel effortless that once felt impossible. But there's a trap most people fall into. They stop when it gets easy. They lose the hunger, the drive, the spark. They forget that momentum needs maintenance. Because just as momentum can build, it can also fade. You've probably felt that before. You're doing well, waking up early, reading daily, staying focused, and then one day you miss. Then another. And suddenly, that powerful rhythm you had starts to slow down. You begin to overthink, to lose faith, to feel like you're starting over. But here's the good news. Momentum is forgiving. It never truly disappears. It just waits for you to re-engage. You don't need to restart from zero. You just need one small action to reignite the flame. That's the beauty of small wins. They rebuild momentum fast. So instead of saying, I have to start all over, say, I'm picking up where I left off. Because in truth, you never lost what you built. You just need to remind your mind who you are. Let's dive deeper. Momentum feeds on simplicity. The more complicated your plan, the easier it is to stall. But when your goal is simply to keep moving, momentum thrives. Don't underestimate how powerful doing something small every day can be. Write a paragraph. Read a page. Do 10 push-ups. Meditate for 2 minutes. These acts look small on the surface, but they're building your internal rhythm. A rhythm that says, I move forward daily. And here's where the magic happens. Once that rhythm sets in, your effort compounds. What used to require discipline starts to become desire. You no longer have to push yourself. Momentum begins to pull you. That's the point you want to reach, when forward motion becomes your natural state. When progress stops feeling like work and starts feeling like oxygen. But to get there, you have to respect the early stage. The awkward, uncertain, unglamorous beginning. That's where 90% of people quit, right before the flywheel starts to turn on its own. Here's a truth you should hold close. Momentum doesn't feel powerful in the moment. It feels ordinary. You might not feel like you're changing much. You might think, this is too small to matter. But over time, those small efforts become unstoppable force. And once you catch that flow, something shifts inside you. You begin to realize that your potential was never about massive leaps. It was about steady rhythm. You stop doubting your ability to grow because you've seen it with your own eyes. Confidence grows not from perfection but from proof. And proof only comes from progress. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen that proof. Every time you finish what you started, your mind says, I can trust me. That's the most powerful kind of confidence. The kind that doesn't need applause or validation because it's built internally. So if you ever find yourself stuck, don't chase motivation, chase movement. Don't wait to feel ready, get started. Don't worry about doing it perfectly, just do it repeatedly. Momentum rewards those who act, not those who overthink. The momentum principle is this. Small actions done consistently create unstoppable energy. And that energy will carry you further than talent, luck, or even temporary motivation ever could. Because here's what most people never realize. Momentum isn't about speed. It's about direction. It's about progress that keeps pointing forward no matter how slow. 1% better. 1 page more. 1 moment of focus longer. That's how momentum grows. It starts as a whisper, then a hum, then a roar. And before you know it, you've become the kind of person others look at and say, "How do they keep going?" The answer? Small wins. Every day. Momentum is built by ordinary effort done with extraordinary consistency. And once it starts rolling, nothing, not fear, not doubt, not failure, can easily stop it. So keep moving. Even when you don't feel like it. Even when progress seems invisible. Because one day you'll look back and realize that little rhythm you built became your power. Chapter 3: The Habit Loop, Turning Effort into Identity. There comes a point when your actions stop being something you do and start becoming who you are. That's the turning point, the bridge between effort and identity. And it's built through something simple yet powerful: habits. Most people see habits as routines, something they force themselves to do. But in truth, habits are not just about repetition, they're about transformation. They're how you rewire your mind, reshape your behavior, and rewrite the story of who you believe yourself to be. Let's start with a simple truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Goals give you direction, but habits build the road. You can dream all day about who you want to become, but until you create consistent actions that reflect that dream, it stays stuck in the imagination. And that's where the habit loop comes in. Every habit, good or bad, follows the same invisible pattern. It's made up of 4 stages: cue, craving, response, and reward. Understand this loop, and you understand how to take control of your life. Let's break it down. The cue is what triggers the behavior. It's the signal that tells your brain, hey, something's about to happen. It could be an emotion, a time of day, a place, or even another habit. For instance, waking up might cue you to check your phone. Feeling stressed might cue you to eat comfort food. Then comes the craving, the emotional desire behind the action. You're not craving the habit itself, you're craving what it gives you. You don't crave scrolling social media, you crave distraction. You don't crave the snack, you crave relief. You don't crave the workout, you crave energy and confidence. Next is the response, the action you take. This is the actual habit. It's what you do to satisfy the craving triggered by the cue. Finally, there's the reward, the outcome. This is where your brain says, that felt good, and stores the behavior as something worth repeating. The more rewarding the experience, the more likely the loop repeats, and the stronger the habit becomes. Now here's the beauty. Once you understand this cycle, you can redesign it. You can break bad habits by interrupting the loop, changing the cue, or altering the response. And you can build new habits by intentionally pairing cues with small, consistent actions that move you toward mastery. This is how effort turns into identity. At first, it's something you choose to do. Then it becomes something you naturally do. Eventually, it becomes something you can't not do. Take any high performer, a writer, an athlete, a musician, an entrepreneur, and you'll find that their greatness is rarely about talent. It's about systems. They've built loops that reinforce who they are. They no longer debate with themselves whether to show up. Their habits handle that for them. And here's the best part. Habits don't care about motivation. They don't need you to feel ready. They just need a cue. Once they're built, they carry you forward on autopilot, like momentum with memory. So, how do you create that kind of loop for yourself? Start small. Always small. Choose one identity you want to build and anchor a habit to it. If you want to be a reader, don't say, I'll read for an hour daily. Say, I'll read 1 page. If you want to be fit, don't say, I'll go to the gym every day. Say, I'll move my body for 5 minutes. If you want to be more focused, don't say, I'll work without distraction for hours. Say, I'll put my phone away for 10 minutes. Why? Because habits grow best when they start so small they're almost impossible to resist. And once they start repeating, they strengthen your identity. Every small win says, this is who I am now. Every repetition is a vote for your future self. Before long, you're no longer trying to become disciplined, you simply are. You're not trying to become focused, you simply act focused. You're not trying to build confidence, you live in it. That's the power of the habit loop. It's how the brain turns conscious effort into subconscious rhythm. But let's be honest, building habits isn't glamorous. It's not fireworks and instant transformation. It's quiet, steady, often unseen. But that's exactly why it works. It's sustainable. It's real. See, motivation fades, but identity lasts. When you start identifying as the kind of person who shows up, even on bad days, everything changes. Because once something becomes part of who you are, discipline no longer feels like a chore. It feels like integrity. And that's when mastery begins to take root. Here's something powerful to remember. Your identity follows your habits, and your habits follow your choices. Every choice is a brushstroke painting the picture of who you're becoming. So, if you want to change your life, stop focusing only on what you want. Focus on what you repeat. You are not the sum of your goals. You are the sum of your daily actions. If you consistently make choices that align with the person you want to become, the identity will follow naturally. Want to be confident? Do the things a confident person would do. Want to be calm? Respond like someone grounded and steady. Want to be wealthy? Make decisions as if your future self is already financially wise. Act like the person you want to be, and soon enough you'll stop acting. You'll become. That's the secret of transformation. Not waiting for the big breakthrough, but repeating small, intentional acts until they sculpt your character. Because mastery isn't about doing more. It's about becoming more. So today, take a moment to ask yourself, what identity am I reinforcing with my current habits? Are my daily actions serving my future, or stealing from it? You have the power to rewrite the loop at any time. Change the cue. Change the response. Change the reward. Change the pattern, and you change the person. Small wins. Every day. That's the bridge between who you are and who you can be. And the moment your habits start matching your vision, momentum takes over, and mastery becomes inevitable. Chapter 4. Discipline over motivation. Showing up when you don't feel like it. Let's be honest. There are days when you don't feel like doing it. You don't feel like working, creating, exercising, or growing. You wake up tired, uninspired, and maybe even a little defeated. And in those moments, a dangerous thought slips in. Maybe I'll just skip today. That's the voice of comfort, the whisper that kills progress slowly. It's gentle, reasonable, convincing. It tells you you're being kind to yourself by taking a break. But what it's really doing is stealing your momentum. Motivation is like a spark. It gets you started, but it doesn't last. Discipline, on the other hand, is the engine that keeps you moving long after the spark fades. Here's the truth. You don't need to feel good to do good work. You just need to show up. See, most people think high achievers are always motivated, that they wake up every day with fire in their veins. But that's not true. The difference is they've trained themselves to act independent of their emotions. They understand something simple yet powerful. Feelings are temporary, but decisions define you. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation depends on mood. Discipline depends on systems. When you rely on motivation, your growth is unpredictable. You're strong when you feel like it, weak when you don't. But when you rely on discipline, you become steady, reliable, consistent, and unstoppable. The disciplined person says, I'll do it whether I feel like it or not. And that decision, repeated over time, builds character. Here's something most people miss. Discipline isn't punishment. It's not self-cruelty or cold-hearted willpower. It's love in action. It's you saying, I care enough about my future to stay consistent today. Discipline is not restriction, it's protection. It protects your dreams from being destroyed by temporary emotions. When you act on discipline, you're telling yourself, I am in control, not my laziness, not my fear, not my excuses. That's real freedom. Think of a sculptor shaping stone. The chisel doesn't move because the sculptor feels inspired every day. It moves because the sculptor shows up every day. The art only emerges because of repetition, not mood. Your life works the same way. Discipline is your chisel. Every small act of follow-through chips away the noise, the weakness, the doubt, until what remains is the masterpiece of your true potential. Let's talk about something most people don't see. Every time you follow through on your word, especially when you don't feel like it, you strengthen self-respect. You teach your mind that your word matters. And self-respect is fuel for confidence. That's why disciplined people often seem calm and centered. It's not because their lives are easier, it's because they've built trust with themselves. They've learned that doing what needs to be done isn't up for debate. And that's the mindset that builds momentum. But let's be real, discipline doesn't come naturally. Your brain is wired to seek comfort and avoid pain. It loves the easy route, the familiar pattern, the path of least resistance. So how do you fight back? You train your mind to find comfort in discomfort. You start small. You build a rhythm. If you commit to something, do it. Even if it's just 5 minutes. Even if it's just one step. Don't underestimate how powerful a partial victory can be. Maybe you didn't run 5 miles, but you ran one. Maybe you didn't write a chapter, but you wrote a paragraph. That still counts, because you honored your commitment. And every time you do, you're reprogramming your brain to understand that emotions don't control your actions. You do. That's the foundation of mastery. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about showing up again and again until showing up becomes who you are. Think about this. The sun doesn't rise because it feels like it. It rises because it's consistent. And that same consistency exists inside you, waiting to be activated through discipline. Here's the paradox. Once you master discipline, motivation actually starts showing up more often. Because when your mind knows you'll act regardless of how you feel, it stops wasting energy on resistance. You become lighter, freer, more focused. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop arguing with your purpose. You stop hesitating. Instead, you simply move. That's why discipline is often quiet. It doesn't shout, it doesn't beg, it doesn't wait. It just acts. When you live that way, life starts to align. Your days become more predictable. Your confidence grows. Your self-image strengthens. And that internal chaos, that constant battle between should I or shouldn't I, begins to fade. You become clear. You become stable. You become powerful. And over time, others will notice something different about you. They won't be able to explain it, but they'll feel it. It's the energy of someone who follows through, someone who can be counted on both by others and by themselves. That's the energy of mastery. Now let's make this practical. How do you build unshakable discipline? Start by keeping small promises to yourself, daily. When you say you'll do something, follow through even if it's small. Because what matters isn't the scale of the act, it's the integrity behind it. Then remove friction. If you want to work out, lay out your clothes the night before. If you want to write, keep your notebook where you can see it. If you want to eat better, don't fill your kitchen with temptation. Make the right thing easy and the wrong thing hard. Finally, celebrate effort, not just results. Discipline grows when it's acknowledged. Reward yourself for showing up, even if the outcome wasn't perfect. Because in the long run, the act of showing up is the result. Remember this truth. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. Momentum makes it automatic. You don't need to be inspired every day. You just need to decide, today I will act. And when that decision becomes habit, mastery becomes destiny. So the next time you wake up and don't feel like it, smile. Because that's your cue. That's your moment to train the mind. To prove that you're not led by emotion, but by intention. Show up. Even if it's hard. Show up. Even if no one sees. Show up. Because that's how small wins become great victories. The truth is simple. Discipline doesn't restrict you, it refines you. And those who master it, master everything. Chapter 5, The Compound Effect. How Tiny Gains Multiply Over Time. Success doesn't happen all at once. It doesn't come in a single burst of effort or a sudden moment of genius. It comes quietly, hidden inside the small, ordinary choices you make every day. That's the secret behind the compound effect. The principle that small, consistent actions repeated over time create massive results. It's not magic. It's math. And it works in every area of your life. Your health, your mindset, your relationships, your finances, your goals. Here's how it works. Imagine you improve yourself by just 1% every day. That sounds tiny, almost meaningless. But mathematically, if you keep compounding that growth, by the end of a year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. That's the power of small wins stacking on top of each other. That's the quiet force behind mastery. But the opposite is also true. If you get 1% worse every day by being lazy, distracted, or careless, you don't just stay the same. You decline. You drift backwards slowly, almost invisibly, until you wake up one day wondering how you lost momentum. That's why small things matter, because they multiply, whether positive or negative. Here's the thing, the compound effect is always working. The question is not if it's working, but in which direction. Every choice you make today compounds, toward growth or stagnation. Every bite of food, every hour of focus, every dollar saved, every minute wasted. You're never standing still. You're either compounding success or compounding regret. That's why people who seem lucky aren't really lucky. They've just been consistent longer than others. They've been compounding effort for months or years, while others were waiting for the right moment to start. Because momentum doesn't reward big effort once in a while, it rewards small effort every day. Let's put this into perspective. Think about a simple example: saving money. If you save just $5 a day, the price of a coffee, that's $150 a month. In a year, that's $1,825. Now add time. Add consistency. Add smart investing. In a few years, that tiny habit could become thousands, not because of one big decision but because of hundreds of small ones compounded together. The same goes for your habits. You might not see results in the first week, the first month, or even the first few months, but change is happening beneath the surface. It's like bamboo. For years you see nothing but a tiny sprout. But underground the roots are growing, spreading, strengthening, preparing. Then suddenly one day it shoots up, growing feet in a single week. That's not sudden growth. That's compounded growth finally showing itself. Mastery works the same way. The early stages are invisible. You're putting in effort, showing up daily, doing small things, and it seems like nothing's changing. But the growth is happening, it's just happening quietly deep within. Then one day everything clicks. You start performing better, thinking sharper, feeling stronger. People notice. They call it overnight success. But you'll know the truth, it wasn't overnight. It was accumulated consistency. Here's the lesson. Small, smart choices plus consistency plus time equals unstoppable results. That's the formula. Simple but powerful. Yet most people never experience the true power of compounding because they quit too soon. They stop before the growth curve turns upward. They underestimate the invisible stage, the part where progress is slow, subtle, and silent. But that's the stage where champions are built. Because the compound effect doesn't reward intensity, it rewards persistence. You see, results don't come from what you do occasionally. They come from what you do repeatedly. And the most successful people aren't the ones who work the hardest once in a while. They're the ones who work steadily over time, through the boredom, through the doubt, through the ordinary days when no one's watching. Every repetition matters. Every small effort counts. Every little win adds up, until the sum becomes something extraordinary. Let's make this real. If you read 10 pages a day, that's 3,650 pages a year, roughly 12 books. If you walk 30 minutes daily, that's over 180 hours of movement annually. If you practice a skill 15 minutes daily, that's nearly 100 hours in a year, enough to make you noticeably better than 99% of beginners. Tiny investments, huge returns. And yet, because they seem so small, most people ignore them. They look for shortcuts, quick results. But mastery has no shortcuts, only consistent steps. Here's the thing, you don't need massive motivation to stay consistent. You just need to focus on showing up. Because every time you show up, even imperfectly, you're adding another layer to your compound growth. You may not notice it today, but one day it'll be impossible to ignore. Progress is quiet until it's undeniable. So if you're in a season where your hard work doesn't seem to be paying off, remember this. Growth is happening under the surface. Your roots are spreading. Your system is stabilizing. Your future self is being built in the shadows. Stay consistent long enough and your results will grow faster than your effort. That's the moment when compounding kicks in fully. That's when your daily actions start carrying you forward automatically. That's when mastery feels effortless, because you've been earning it for a long time. Now here's a challenge. Pick one small action you can commit to for the next 30 days. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be consistent. Drink more water. Read every night. Save a little money. Write one paragraph. Track it. Repeat it. Protect it. You'll start to notice something subtle but powerful. Your sense of control grows. Your confidence builds. Your energy rises. Because when you commit to small wins daily, you begin to realize that nothing is really out of reach. It just takes time. Remember this truth. You can't cheat time, but you can partner with it. And when you do, time becomes your greatest ally. It multiplies every small effort you make, every discipline you practice, every moment you choose growth over comfort. That's the compound effect. That's how mastery expands. You don't need to do everything today, you just need to do something every day. Because one day those small, consistent wins won't just add up, they'll multiply. And that's when people will look at you and say, "How did they do it?" But you'll know. It was never luck. It was never overnight. It was the compound effect, working quietly, powerfully, and faithfully in your favor. Chapter 6. The Power of Focus, Guarding Your Energy and Attention. We live in a noisy world. Everything is fighting for your attention. Notifications, opinions, advertisements, endless streams of distraction. Every beep, buzz, and scroll pulls you slightly off course. And yet, in the middle of all this noise, one thing remains true. Focus is the new superpower. You can have talent, drive, and ambition, but if your attention is scattered, your power is diluted. You can't build mastery if your energy is divided in 100 directions. Focus is what separates busy people from effective people. It's what turns effort into excellence, motion into momentum. Let's face it, distraction is easy. Discipline is rare. But those who master focus become unstoppable. Because focus isn't just about doing one thing, it's about saying no to everything that doesn't matter. And that's hard. Because distractions don't always look dangerous. In fact, most of them look harmless, even productive. A quick check on social media. A short reply to a message. A 5-minute detour that turns into an hour. But every distraction costs you something invisible, your momentum. Here's what most people don't realize. Every time you switch tasks, your brain pays a price. It takes time and energy to refocus. Studies show it can take up to 20 minutes to fully regain deep focus after an interruption. Now think about how many times you're interrupted daily. That's hours of lost momentum, hours you could have spent creating, learning, or growing. Focus isn't about time management, it's about energy management. You only have so much mental energy each day. If you waste it on shallow distractions, you'll have nothing left for meaningful work. That's why mastering focus is about more than productivity. It's about protecting your purpose. Let's go deeper. Focus starts with clarity. You can't focus on everything, so you must decide what truly matters. What deserves your full attention right now? What's truly essential to your growth, your goals, your peace? When your vision is clear, your focus becomes sharp. When your vision is blurry, your focus scatters. It's like sunlight. Diffuse light warms, but focused light, like a laser, cuts through steel. That's the power of direction. So, the first step to mastering focus is knowing what you want. Define your priorities. Decide what gets your yes, and more importantly, what earns your no. Here's a rule that will change your life. If it doesn't move you closer to your purpose, it's a distraction. You don't owe your time to everything that asks for it. You don't have to respond to every notification, every email, every invitation. Protect your attention like a treasure, because it is. Now let's talk about energy. Your focus follows your energy. When your body is tired, your mind becomes lazy. When your energy is scattered, your thoughts lose clarity. So, mastering focus isn't just about removing distractions. It's about building rituals that sustain your energy. Get enough sleep. Move your body. Feed your mind with good input. Books, podcasts, quiet time. These things aren't luxuries, they're requirements for focus. You can't perform at your best if you're drained. Energy fuels focus and focus fuels mastery. But here's another truth, focus isn't built overnight. It's trained like a muscle. The more you practice deep focus, the stronger it gets. At first, you might struggle to stay present. Your mind will wander, your phone will tempt you, your thoughts will race. But the more you train it, the easier it becomes to stay locked in. Start small. Set aside 20 minutes of undistracted time daily. No phone. No notifications. Just pure, intentional focus on one meaningful task. Over time, that window will expand. You'll begin to crave that deep state of concentration, that feeling of flow where time disappears and all that exists is your work, your craft, your purpose. That's where mastery lies, in the moments when you're completely absorbed, fully alive, and deeply engaged. And here's something powerful to understand. Focus doesn't just create better results, it changes you. It strengthens patience. It builds resilience. It teaches you how to quiet your mind in a chaotic world. When you can focus in a distracted world, you become dangerous, not in a destructive way but in a powerful one. Because while others are lost in noise, you're moving in silence. While others are scrolling, you're building. While others are chasing everything, you're mastering something. And that's how momentum multiplies, through focus. But let's make this real. Ask yourself, what's stealing my focus right now? Is it your phone? Your environment? The people around you? Your own thoughts? Be honest, because awareness is the first step to control. Once you identify your distractions, build boundaries. Turn off notifications. Schedule deep work time. Use your mornings, the most focused part of your day, for your most important work. Create focus rituals, a clear desk, calm music, a notebook, a timer. Train your brain to associate those cues with deep work. And most importantly, learn to embrace silence. Because silence is where creativity breathes. It's where clarity grows. It's where your best ideas are born. The world is loud, but mastery happens in quiet. Every focused hour compounds into greatness. Every distraction you eliminate brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. Remember, focus isn't just what you pay attention to. It's also what you ignore. You'll know you're on the right path when your life starts to simplify, when you care less about many things and more about a few things that truly matter. That's the essence of focus. Not more noise, but less. Not more activity, but more intention. Because at the end of the day, success isn't built by doing everything. It's built by doing the right things deeply and consistently. Protect your focus. Guard your energy. Value your attention. Because those who master focus, master momentum. And those who master momentum, master life. Chapter 6. The Power of Focus, Guarding Your Energy and Attention. We live in a noisy world. Everything is fighting for your attention. Notifications, opinions, advertisements, endless streams of distraction. Every beep, buzz, and scroll pulls you slightly off course. And yet, in the middle of all this noise, one thing remains true. Focus is the new superpower. You can have talent, drive, and ambition, but if your attention is scattered, your power is diluted. You can't build mastery if your energy is divided in 100 directions. Focus is what separates busy people from effective people. It's what turns effort into excellence, motion into momentum. Let's face it, distraction is easy. Discipline is rare. But those who master focus become unstoppable. Because focus isn't just about doing one thing, it's about saying no to everything that doesn't matter. And that's hard. Because distractions don't always look dangerous. In fact, most of them look harmless, even productive. A quick check on social media. A short reply to a message. A 5-minute detour that turns into an hour. But every distraction costs you something invisible, your momentum. Here's what most people don't realize. Every time you switch tasks, your brain pays a price. It takes time and energy to refocus. Studies show it can take up to 20 minutes to fully regain deep focus after an interruption. Now think about how many times you're interrupted daily. That's hours of lost momentum, hours you could have spent creating, learning, or growing. Focus isn't about time management, it's about energy management. You only have so much mental energy each day. If you waste it on shallow distractions, you'll have nothing left for meaningful work. That's why mastering focus is about more than productivity. It's about protecting your purpose. Let's go deeper. Focus starts with clarity. You can't focus on everything, so you must decide what truly matters. What deserves your full attention right now? What's truly essential to your growth, your goals, your peace? When your vision is clear, your focus becomes sharp. When your vision is blurry, your focus scatters. It's like sunlight. Diffuse light warms, but focused light, like a laser, cuts through steel. That's the power of direction. So, the first step to mastering focus is knowing what you want. Define your priorities. Decide what gets your yes, and more importantly, what earns your no. Here's a rule that will change your life. If it doesn't move you closer to your purpose, it's a distraction. You don't owe your time to everything that asks for it. You don't have to respond to every notification, every email, every invitation. Protect your attention like a treasure, because it is. Now let's talk about energy. Your focus follows your energy. When your body is tired, your mind becomes lazy. When your energy is scattered, your thoughts lose clarity. So, mastering focus isn't just about removing distractions. It's about building rituals that sustain your energy. Get enough sleep. Move your body. Feed your mind with good input. Books, podcasts, quiet time. These things aren't luxuries. They're requirements for focus. You can't perform at your best if you're drained. Energy fuels focus, and focus fuels mastery. But here's another truth. Focus isn't built overnight. It's trained like a muscle. The more you practice deep focus, the stronger it gets. At first, you might struggle to stay present. Your mind will wander, your phone will tempt you, your thoughts will race. But the more you train it, the easier it becomes to stay locked in. Start small. Set aside 20 minutes of undistracted time daily. No phone. No notifications. Just pure, intentional focus on one meaningful task. Over time, that window will expand. You'll begin to crave that deep state of concentration, that feeling of flow where time disappears and all that exists is your work, your craft, your purpose. That's where mastery lies, in the moments when you're completely absorbed, fully alive, and deeply engaged. And here's something powerful to understand. Focus doesn't just create better results, it changes you. It strengthens patience. It builds resilience. It teaches you how to quiet your mind in a chaotic world. When you can focus in a distracted world, you become dangerous, not in a destructive way but in a powerful one. Because while others are lost in noise, you're moving in silence. While others are scrolling, you're building. While others are chasing everything, you're mastering something. And that's how momentum multiplies, through focus. But let's make this real. Ask yourself, what's stealing my focus right now? Is it your phone? Your environment? The people around you? Your own thoughts? Be honest, because awareness is the first step to control. Once you identify your distractions, build boundaries. Turn off notifications. Schedule deep work time. Use your mornings, the most focused part of your day, for your most important work. Create focus rituals, a clear desk, calm music, a notebook, a timer. Train your brain to associate those cues with deep work. And most importantly, learn to embrace silence. Because silence is where creativity breathes. It's where clarity grows. It's where your best ideas are born. The world is loud, but mastery happens in quiet. Every focused hour compounds into greatness. Every distraction you eliminate brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. Remember, focus isn't just what you pay attention to. It's also what you ignore. You'll know you're on the right path when your life starts to simplify, when you care less about many things and more about a few things that truly matter. That's the essence of focus. Not more noise, but less. Not more activity, but more intention. Because at the end of the day, success isn't built by doing everything. It's built by doing the right things deeply and consistently. Protect your focus. Guard your energy. Value your attention. Because those who master focus, master momentum. And those who master momentum, master life. Chapter 7, Resilience, Bouncing Back Stronger After Setbacks. Life will test you. It's not a matter of if, but when. No matter how motivated, focused, or consistent you are, there will be moments when things don't go as planned, when the progress stalls, when your effort feels unseen, when the world throws you a curveball you didn't expect. And in those moments, one quality determines everything: resilience. Resilience is the ability to bend without breaking, to fall and rise again, to keep moving forward even when it hurts. It's not about being invincible, it's about being unbreakable in spirit. Here's the truth: every master you admire has failed more times than most people have even tried. The difference? They never let failure define them. They let it refine them. Resilience turns pain into progress, setbacks into strength, and defeat into direction. Let's be real, life isn't linear. Progress doesn't move in a straight line. It twists, dips, and sometimes circles back. You'll have seasons of acceleration and seasons of delay. But it's in those moments of delay that character is forged. Most people quit not because they're weak, but because they expected the journey to be easy. They confuse struggle with failure. But struggle isn't failure, it's feedback. It's the universe asking, how much do you really want this? If you can understand that, you'll see every obstacle differently. Setbacks aren't walls, they're mirrors. They show you where you need to grow, what you need to change, and how deeply you're committed. Resilience begins when you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? That's the mindset of growth. That's how small wins continue even when life hits hard. Think of a rubber band. Its strength isn't measured when it's resting, it's measured when it's stretched. And the same goes for you. Your resilience isn't proven in comfort. It's revealed under pressure. Every time you fall and rise again, you become stronger, wiser, sharper. You build emotional endurance, and that endurance compounds into confidence. Because once you've survived hard days, small challenges no longer scare you. Let's talk about one of the biggest lies people believe: that resilience means you never feel pain. That's wrong. Resilient people feel it deeply. They get disappointed, tired, frustrated. But they don't stay there. They process the pain, then rise from it. Resilience isn't about ignoring emotion, it's about mastering it. It's saying, yes, I'm hurt, but I'm not done. Here's the thing about growth: it's never comfortable. Every level of progress demands a version of you that can handle more pressure, more uncertainty, more risk. And every time you rise from a setback, you prove to yourself that you can. Failure stops being final once you realize it's not the opposite of success, it's part of it. When you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you'll see something powerful. Every great comeback started with a setback. Every strong person you admire once stood in the middle of chaos wondering if they'd ever recover. But they did, not because the situation was easy, but because they refused to quit. You can't build resilience by reading about it. You build it by living through storms, getting knocked down, and standing up again. And with every rise, you gather proof. Proof that you can endure, adapt, and thrive. That proof becomes confidence. And that confidence becomes momentum. But let's make this practical. How do you actually build resilience? Start with acceptance. Accept that setbacks are part of the journey. Don't fight reality, face it. When something doesn't go your way, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, this is part of the process. Next, reframe your story. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned. Language shapes perspective, and perspective shapes power. Then move forward, even if it's just one small step. Momentum rebuilds through movement, not perfection. Don't wait to feel strong before you act. Acting makes you strong. And finally, protect your mindset. Feed it with positivity, not pity. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your strength, not your scars. When life gets tough, you don't need voices of doubt, you need echoes of belief. Here's something worth remembering. Resilience doesn't mean you bounce back to who you were. It means you bounce forward, wiser, tougher, better. Every challenge leaves you changed, but if you face it right, it leaves you improved. And the beauty of small wins is that they keep you anchored during storms. Even when everything feels like it's falling apart, you can still say, I did one thing right today. I showed up. That's resilience in action, doing what you can with what you have, until you can do more. So when life knocks you down, pause but don't quit. Rest but don't stop. Because your comeback is being built in the silence of your persistence. Every setback carries a seed of strength. Every delay hides a lesson. And every fall prepares you for a higher rise. You're stronger than you think, wiser than you believe, and far more capable than you realize. Keep standing. Keep learning. Keep moving. Because every time you rise, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And that's what makes your next climb unstoppable. So hold your head high, take a deep breath, and remember, resilience is the rhythm of mastery. Fall, rise, learn, repeat. That's how small wins become great victories. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Chapter 8. The Discipline Loop. Turning daily habits into identity. Discipline. It's not a flashy word. It doesn't sound exciting. It doesn't sparkle like motivation or passion. But make no mistake, discipline is the quiet power behind every great achievement. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's choosing consistency over comfort. It's showing up when nobody's watching. Motivation starts the journey. Discipline finishes it. But here's something most people get wrong. They treat discipline as punishment, as something heavy or restrictive. When in reality, discipline is freedom. Because freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Freedom is having control over yourself. It's being able to say, I can trust me. Think about that for a moment. Imagine the power of knowing that when you set a goal, you'll follow through. Not because someone's watching, but because that's just who you are. That's the ultimate confidence, self-trust. And self-trust is born from discipline. But discipline doesn't magically appear one morning. It's built through small, repeated actions that form what I call the discipline loop. Here's how it works. Every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, no matter how small, you strengthen your self-image. You start to see yourself as someone who follows through. That belief fuels more disciplined behavior, which leads to more results, which reinforces your belief again. Action, evidence, belief, identity, more action. That's the loop. It's simple but powerful. The problem is, most people break the loop before it forms. They start big, too big. They commit to drastic changes, new routines, impossible goals. Then they burn out, fail, and lose trust in themselves. But the secret is this: discipline grows strongest when it starts small. When you prove to yourself daily that you can be counted on. Wake up when you said you would. Read one chapter. Take one step. Keep one promise. That's how discipline begins, not in huge commitments but in tiny ones. Because those small wins create evidence. And evidence shapes identity. You begin to say things like, I'm the kind of person who shows up. I'm the kind of person who doesn't give up. I'm the kind of person who keeps going. And when that belief sets in, discipline stops feeling like effort. It becomes automatic. You don't have to convince yourself anymore. You just do it. Like brushing your teeth or tying your shoes, it becomes part of your rhythm. That's what mastery looks like, when good habits become second nature. But here's the thing, discipline doesn't eliminate struggle. You'll still have days where you don't feel like it. Days when your energy is low, when the excuses get loud. That's normal. Discipline doesn't silence the excuses, it simply refuses to obey them. Because disciplined people don't rely on feelings, they rely on standards. They know that feelings come and go, but commitment stays. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. And the beautiful part? The more you practice discipline, the less effort it takes. Momentum starts to carry you. Your habits begin to work for you, not against you. Let's look at it this way. In the beginning, you push your habits. But over time, your habits push you. You stop chasing progress. Progress starts chasing you. That's the power of the discipline loop. Now, let's talk about how to build it in real life. Step 1. Start small. Pick one simple habit. Something so easy you can't say no to it. Maybe it's 5 minutes of reading. Maybe it's writing one paragraph. Maybe it's a morning stretch. Whatever it is, make it daily and doable. Step 2. Track your wins. Don't underestimate the satisfaction of progress. Write it down. Check it off. Celebrate it. Your brain loves progress. Feed it proof that you're moving forward. Step 3. Keep your promises. If you say you'll do it, do it. Even if it's small. Especially if it's small. Because if you can't keep small promises, you won't keep big ones. Step 4. Forgive and continue. You'll slip up sometimes. Everyone does. But don't let one off day become a pattern. Learn, adjust, and get back into rhythm. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about return. Every time you return, you strengthen the loop. Every time you follow through, you solidify your identity. And one day, without realizing it, you'll wake up and notice something has changed. You don't need motivation anymore. You've become the kind of person who does the work whether you feel like it or not. That's the point where small wins turn into self-mastery. See, discipline isn't about control. It's about alignment. When your habits align with your vision, your life becomes congruent. Your actions and goals stop fighting each other, they move in harmony. You start attracting progress instead of chasing it. And that's the essence of mastery, doing the right things consistently without relying on emotion. So here's your takeaway. Don't wait for discipline to appear. Build it. One decision at a time. One promise at a time. One win at a time. You don't have to overhaul your life. You just have to begin. Because when your daily habits align with your highest goals, your identity transforms. And once your identity changes, your results have no choice but to follow. That's the discipline loop. That's how mastery is born. Not through force, not through pressure, but through quiet, steady, daily proof that you can trust yourself. Keep your promises, build your loop, and watch how small wins, repeated daily, turn into an unshakable life of momentum, confidence, and control. Chapter 9. The Confidence Curve. Believing before you see results. Confidence. We talk about it like it's something you earn after you've made it. As if you have to wait until you achieve something before you can finally believe in yourself. But the truth is the complete opposite. Confidence is the cause, not the effect, of success. Before every win, there's a decision to believe. Before every breakthrough, there's a moment where someone says, I can do this. Even when there's no evidence. Even when no one else believes it yet. That's what separates dreamers from doers. Dreamers wait to feel confident before they start. Doers start and build confidence as they move. Confidence isn't a gift, it's a muscle. You build it by doing what scares you, by stepping into the unknown, by acting before you feel ready. Here's the paradox. You don't become confident because you succeeded, you succeed because you acted with confidence. Asterisk. It's not arrogance. It's faith in progress. It's saying, I don't know how this will turn out, but I trust myself to figure it out. That's real confidence, self-trust in motion. Think about a child learning to walk. They stumble, fall, and get up again, hundreds of times. But never once do they say, maybe walking isn't for me. They just keep going because somewhere deep inside they know they were made to walk. That's how confidence is built, through persistence, not perfection. But let's get practical. Where does real confidence come from? It doesn't come from compliments or achievements. It comes from evidence. Every time you take action, you give your brain proof that you're capable. And every piece of proof, no matter how small, strengthens your self-belief. That's why small wins matter so much. They create a track record of competence. They whisper to your mind, you did that before. You can do it again. Confidence is the echo of consistent effort. The more you act, the more you trust yourself. The more you trust yourself, the bolder your actions become. And the bolder you act, the faster you grow. That's what I call the confidence curve, a self-reinforcing cycle of belief and action. It looks like this. Action, evidence, confidence, more action, greater results, stronger belief. But here's the catch. Most people never get past the first step. They wait to feel ready before they act. They wait for confidence before they move. And because they never act, they never get evidence. No evidence means no confidence. No confidence means no action. And the cycle dies before it begins. The key is to flip it. Don't wait for confidence to start. Start to create confidence. Because every step you take, even the small ones, feeds your belief. Every little win adds to your foundation. Every challenge you face strengthens your courage. Confidence isn't built in comfort, it's built in motion. Let me say this clearly. You don't need to be fearless to act. You just need to act despite the fear. Courage and confidence grow together. Courage gets you started. Confidence keeps you going. And here's a secret. Most confident people still feel fear. They've just learned not to let it stop them. They've learned that fear is a signal of growth, not danger. That the presence of discomfort means they're stretching their limits. And that's where real confidence lies. Not in knowing everything, but in trusting yourself to learn anything. Think of your confidence like a thermostat. When you begin something new, your internal temperature might be low. You feel unsure, awkward, maybe even clumsy. But every time you act, you turn the dial a little higher. Every small success raises your baseline belief in yourself. Eventually, what once felt impossible becomes normal. What once scared you becomes second nature. That's mastery in motion, quiet, steady, and powerful. But let's be honest, building confidence takes time. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when you feel like you're not making progress fast enough. That's normal. Confidence doesn't erase doubt, it outlasts it. And here's the truth, doubt doesn't disappear with success. You just get stronger at moving through it. So, how do you stay confident when results haven't shown up yet? 1. Focus on effort, not outcome. Confidence grows when you honor your consistency, not your results. Remind yourself, I showed up today. That's progress worth celebrating. 2. Keep a proof list. Write down every win, no matter how small. That's your personal evidence file. On tough days, read it. Let it remind you how far you've come. 3. Speak to yourself like someone you believe in. Words shape identity. If you keep saying, I'm not confident, your brain will find proof of it. But if you say, I'm learning to trust myself, your actions will start aligning with that belief. 4. Take small risks daily. Do one thing each day that stretches you. Make that call. Share that idea. Take that step. Every time you stretch, your confidence grows another inch. Because growth doesn't happen in leaps, it happens in micro stretches. Soon, those small acts of courage build a version of you that no longer needs external validation. Because confidence built from within is unshakable. Let's make this real. You won't always feel ready. You won't always feel qualified. But you don't need certainty to start. You need movement. And every time you move, you're telling your mind, I can handle this. That belief is what separates those who talk about change from those who create it. So, stop waiting to feel confident. Start doing the work that builds it. You'll trip, stumble, and make mistakes. That's fine. Every stumble is still forward motion. Every failure still teaches you something valuable. And one day you'll look back and realize, you've crossed the confidence curve. You no longer hope you can do it, you know you can. Because belief came before evidence, and now the evidence supports the belief. That's how small wins transform into unshakable self-trust. That's how confidence compounds into mastery. So remember this. Confidence isn't built in a single moment. It's built in motion. Step by step. Win by win. decision by decision. Keep acting. Keep believing. And one day you won't need to convince yourself anymore, because confidence will no longer be something you chase. It'll be who you are. Chapter 10, Purpose Over Pressure, Staying Driven When the Spark Fades. There's a moment in every journey where the spark fades. The excitement that once fueled you begins to dim. The work starts to feel heavy. The results take longer than expected. And the question creeps in, do I still want this? It's easy to stay driven when the fire is fresh, when progress is visible, when every step feels exciting and new. But mastery isn't built in the moments of hype. It's built in the quiet seasons, when no one's watching, when nothing seems to move, when you keep going simply because you refuse to stop. That's when purpose becomes more powerful than pressure. See, pressure says, I have to. Purpose says, I choose to. Pressure drains you. Purpose drives you. The world celebrates passion, but passion is fleeting. It's emotional fuel, it burns bright and fast. Purpose, on the other hand, is steady. It's the deep, quiet conviction that what you're doing matters. Purpose keeps you going when motivation runs dry, because it reminds you of why you started in the first place. Think back to your biggest goals, the things you truly wanted. Did you start them for applause? For validation? For the outcome? Or because something inside you whispered, this is what I'm meant to do? That whisper, that pull, is purpose. Purpose isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just a quiet knowing that your effort is connected to something bigger than you. When you move from pressure to purpose, everything changes. Work becomes devotion. Struggle becomes training. You stop counting hours and start measuring meaning. And here's the truth, people who chase pressure eventually burn out. People who chase purpose build endurance. Because purpose gives pain meaning. It transforms the struggle from something you suffer through into something you grow through. If you know why you're doing something, you can handle almost anyhow. That's why clarity matters. Without a clear why, every setback feels heavier than it is. But when you know your purpose, even small progress feels sacred. Purpose anchors you. It's the reason you get up after failure. It's the reason you say no to distractions. It's the reason you stay consistent when results are invisible. Purpose says, even if no one claps, I'll keep going. But purpose doesn't find you, you build it. You build it through experience, reflection, and alignment. You build it by asking yourself the right questions. What kind of person do I want to become? What problems do I want to help solve? What impact do I want my effort to make? The answers to those questions shape your direction. And once you're clear on your purpose, your energy shifts. You stop chasing every opportunity, you start choosing the right ones. You stop competing with others. You start competing with yesterday's version of you. That's when your momentum becomes personal. But let's be real, even with purpose there will be days you don't feel like it. Days when doubt whispers, when fatigue sets in, when results feel slow. That's normal. Purpose doesn't erase pain. It simply reminds you that it's worth it. It's like climbing a mountain. The air gets thinner the higher you go. The climb gets harder. But the view makes it all worth it. And every small win along the way keeps you moving, one step at a time. Here's the secret, purpose thrives in process. It's not found in the trophy, it's found in the doing. In the repetition, the discipline, the quiet moments where you prove to yourself again and again, I'm built for this. If you make your purpose dependent on the result, you'll give up too soon. But if your purpose lives in the process, you'll never run out of fuel. Because purpose-driven people don't chase success, they attract it through consistency. They play the long game. They understand that mastery isn't a moment, it's a lifestyle. And the deeper your purpose, the lighter your pressure becomes. You'll notice something powerful happen. You stop feeling forced to do things. You start wanting to. Not because it's easy, but because it's aligned. Because it feels like the right thing for your growth, your spirit, your mission. That's the shift from pressure to purpose, from chasing validation to chasing vision. And when you find your why, you stop asking, how long will this take? Instead, you start saying, as long as it takes. That's purpose. It's what keeps the marathon runner moving long after the cheers fade. It's what makes the artist paint after rejection. It's what drives the builder to start again when everything falls apart. Purpose is quiet strength. It doesn't scream. It doesn't rush. It endures. So, when you hit that wall, when you feel your motivation fade and your passion cool, pause. Don't quit. Reconnect. Ask yourself, why did I begin? That question will reignite something deeper than excitement. It will awaken meaning. And once you're fueled by meaning, you can outlast anything. Because pressure breaks the weak, but purpose builds the unshakable. So remember this. When the fire fades, don't chase sparks. Build embers, quiet, steady, unstoppable. They'll keep you warm when the world goes cold. They'll remind you that the goal was never about perfection. It was about purpose. Keep showing up. Keep believing. Because your purpose is not just what you do, it's who you become in the process. That's where mastery lies. Not in pressure, but in purpose. Chapter 11. Mastery in Motion. Becoming unstoppable through momentum. Mastery isn't a finish line. It's not the medal, the applause, or the moment you make it. It's motion, constant, deliberate, evolving motion. You don't wake up one day and say, "I've mastered life." Because the truth is, the moment you stop learning, you stop growing. The moment you stop growing, you lose momentum. And momentum, that invisible force you've built through small wins, is the lifeblood of mastery. See, momentum is energy in motion. It's what transforms habits into identity. It's what keeps your progress alive even when the path feels uphill. Momentum turns effort into rhythm. And once you have rhythm, everything begins to flow. But let's rewind. You didn't get here overnight. You got here one small step at a time. Every chapter of your journey, every small win, stacked on top of the last, building strength, discipline, and self-belief. You may not realize it yet, but you've been transforming all along. Each decision to show up even when it was inconvenient. Each moment you chose consistency over comfort. Each quiet victory that no one saw. That's mastery in motion, becoming better, slowly, quietly, unshakably. And here's what most people never understand. Momentum doesn't make life easier, it makes you stronger. Because the truth is, challenges never disappear. You just outgrow them. What once felt impossible becomes your new normal. The early days of doubt are replaced with confidence. The fear of failure becomes fuel for learning. The voice that once said, "You can't," becomes a whisper that says, "Watch me." That's the evolution of mastery, not the absence of struggle, but the transformation of it. When you commit to progress, you stop being controlled by outcomes. You no longer measure success by the size of your results, but by the strength of your consistency. And that's when life changes, because now nothing can stop you. Momentum isn't just movement, it's meaning. It's the story of someone who refused to quit. Every small win built a foundation of trust within yourself. You learned that discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. You discovered that success isn't luck, it's alignment. And you realized that mastery isn't a destination, it's who you become by staying in motion. So now, as you stand at this point in your journey, take a breath. Look back at how far you've come. You might not have noticed the growth happening day by day, but it's there, in the way you think, the way you react, the way you move through challenges. You've become someone who doesn't stop. Someone who understands that progress is built, not wished for. Someone who doesn't need perfect days to make progress, just the courage to begin again. That's momentum, the art of always starting even after a setback. You've learned to turn obstacles into opportunities. You've learned that mastery is not about being flawless, it's about being fearless enough to keep trying. There's something powerful about staying in motion. Because motion creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. And confidence creates momentum all over again. It's a cycle, a beautiful, endless rhythm that keeps you growing, evolving, expanding. The people who master their craft, their habits, and their mindset aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to stand still. They fall forward. They learn fast. They adapt. And while others wait for the right time, they build strength through movement. You've become that kind of person. Someone who understands that consistency is power, that small wins are sacred, and that success isn't something you chase. It's something you create every single day. So as this book closes, remember this. You are not done. This isn't the end, it's the next beginning. The habits you've built, the mindset you've shaped, the confidence you've earned, they are your foundation now. Keep using them. Keep moving. Keep mastering. Wake up every morning and ask yourself, what small win can I create today? And then go do it. Because small wins compound. They create momentum. And momentum turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. If you can stay in motion, even slowly, even quietly, you'll always be ahead of the person who stopped. That's the ultimate secret. The world doesn't belong to the fastest, the strongest, or the most talented. It belongs to those who keep going. Because momentum, once built, makes you unstoppable. You'll notice that opportunities start to align with your energy. People will start to notice your discipline, your confidence, your focus. And you'll begin to realize that mastery isn't something you achieve, it's something you embody. Every day, every choice, every small win. So keep your wheel turning. Even if it's slow, even if it's hard, even if it doesn't look like much right now. Because every push counts. Every moment builds. Every win matters. That's how mastery is made, not by force but by flow. Not by pressure but by persistence. Not by luck but by the courage to move, even when you don't feel ready. You are in motion. You are becoming. You are building mastery one small win at a time. And as long as you keep moving forward, you'll never truly stop winning. Listen, don't just close this and move on. Take a second, because right now you're standing at a powerful point. You've just filled your mind with everything you need, now it's time to move. This is the moment most people walk away and say, "That was inspiring." But not you. You're not here just to feel good. You're here to become unstoppable. So do this, get up. Right now. Do one small thing that moves your life forward. Write that idea down. Send that message. Go for that run. Start that plan. Because once you take that first step, momentum kicks in. And once momentum grabs hold of you, nothing, and I mean nothing, can stop you. You don't need to be ready. You don't need permission. You just need to start. Every small action you take today is proof that you're building something real, something powerful. So go make it happen. Don't wait for motivation, create it. And if this message hit your soul, share it. Send it to someone who needs to wake up too. And make sure you follow this channel, because we're building something bigger than motivation here. We're building momentum. Now go. Go win today. Go prove to yourself that you're stronger than your excuses, louder than your doubts, and closer than you think. This is your moment. This is your time. And from this point on, you don't stop.